going on, YouTube universe? Welcome to the Hip and Shoulder, where today's video is all about getting those tips in. But before we look at round 12, we need to take the time to reflect on my incredibly poor efforts from round 11. The round kicked off so incredibly poorly for myself that I thought there was going to be no coming back from it. I thought that I was going to potentially pick up my worst tipping round for the year. Thankfully I didn't, but it was still pretty fucking terrible. I somehow managed to rally late in the round and finished on 5 out of 9. I was very disappointed with some of the outcomes, considering I could have probably put a little bit more forethought into my selections this particular round and picked winning teams, but I went with my heart over my head with some of them. I think it's time I stopped doing that shit. We need to start getting real. We need to take this seriously. But we tipped the Bulldogs over Geelong. We backed them by 13 points. In the end, it was 14 points the way of Geelong. I honestly did think the Bulldogs could challenge Geelong at GMHBA, and they did for a sizable portion of this game, but they just left it a little bit too late. That being said, this was still definitely game of the round. Still, in my opinion, one of the better games that we have seen this year. And I feel these two teams delivered a caliber of football that could be linked to finals kind of football. That's the feel that this game had. Really looking forward to these two teams coming back to each other at the end of the season, heading into finals, because this clash, once they do it again, is going to be huge. We tipped Richmond to defeat Essendon. Up until three-quarter time, I had every single belief that that still could have been the case, but unfortunately, a late fourth quarter fade-out saw Essendon run away with a 23-point win, claiming their third, I believe, dream time at the G Clash, back to back. And it's been a while before that they had even picked up one win. So the fact that they've gotten the last three, huge. Carlton, we tipped them over GWS. And Carlton's season just continues to derail, and I don't understand where this is all stemming from. But GWS getting back and playing their best football, and I still feel out of all the teams currently either just in the 8 or just outside of the 8, GWS are one of those teams that in the back half of this year I feel are going to do a lot of damage and push for a higher stake on the AFL ladder by the end of the year. Definitely still think this team is a team to watch. Carlton, on the other hand, considering, if you put into perspective, Richmond were tipped to not win a game at all this year. And after 11 rounds of football, Carlton have one more win than Richmond do. That is huge. We move on to Hawthorn taking on Brisbane. I honestly thought Hawthorn at home had a lot more to play for. Brisbane, however, picking up their first win against Hawthorn at the MCG since 2004. 21 years in the making this bastard has been, and they finally got it done, and I think that pushes their claim to a legitimate back-to-back run for the premiership this year. I definitely feel, even though they have been behind the 8 ball a little bit compared to where they were last year, their best is still one of, if not the best, going around in this competition. So keep an eye out for the Lions, because I think they're going to start surging. We have Collingwood defeating North Melbourne. I thought that was a pretty straightforward kind of assumption, but given at three-quarter time this was an actual arm wrestle, I was a little bit concerned that North were going to derail my tipping completely this round. But unfortunately, similar to Richmond's circumstance, a fourth quarter fade-out saw Collingwood run away with a very sizable lead in the end. Fremantle got the job done very convincingly over Port Adelaide. I did say if Port Adelaide got up and win to return to my previous tipping video, because I told you so, but Fremantle proving that their best is very competitive. It's just the consistency they have been lacking. Adelaide absolutely demolished West Coast. To think at around the 12-minute mark of the third term, Adelaide had only registered 54 points, and then they went on from that quarter and a half to kick 128 total. Huge dismantling of West Coast. Melbourne got the job done over Sydney, and Gold Coast got the job done over St Kilda. As you can see, my first 4 games were all blemishes, and then my final 5 got me over the line for at least a bare minimum scraping in. I'm glad I got 5, because the minimum 5 has just kicked in, and we just scraped in. There was over 10,000 people eliminated this particular round. We're still alive in the hunt for the gauntlet too, because I do believe we tipped Adelaide Crows as our certainty for this game. So that's my tips for round 11. I was very shocked to see, however, that while I bottom dwelled, there were a lot of people that just over expectations. They absolutely smashed it. As I said, I got 5 out of 9. The worst in my tipping competition this particular week was 4 out of 9. The best for the round, as I scroll up to reveal it, was 9 out of 9. Master Mano Chris M tipping a perfect 9 out of 9 round. Congratulations to you, sir, for being the clear winner of the competition for round 11. Special mention, though, to the blooper reel, Jason G, Lakes Legends Gary M, Some Cripple Michael T, and Rue13 Matt B for tipping a near-perfect round with 8 out of 9. That being said, we now shift attention to the total tips, which sees Skyvo Lana S continue to take a 1-tip lead in first place. Just trailing behind, we have Jazz Sky 13 in second with 73 tips. We then have Macca0303 and Gramercy Riff 78 on 72 tips respectively. Sean AE and Benos on 71 tips respectively. And our top 10 rounds out with Nado in 7th place on 70 tips. We have Matthias and Princess Cahill and Frio 90 and MRL from Par, all essentially tied for 8th place on 69. Hey. Congratulations to Skyvo for finishing another round on top of the ladder. Congratulations to my top 10. And just an overall thank you to everybody that has gotten on board the tipping competition so far. I'm very thankful for everybody getting behind what I do. With that being said, let's get into the tips for round 12. It all kicks off tomorrow night at the Gabba with Brisbane hosting Essendon. This is the most convincing win Brisbane will have all year. And if Essendon upset, I would be flabbergasted. I am going Brisbane by at least, let's go 28 points. I think it's going to be that bad. No Ben Mackay in the back line, out injured. Kyle Langford, out injured. They have Zach Reed, out injured. Reed and Mackay have been two of their figureheads in their back line all season. They've had to bring in a debutant just to fill the slot. This is why I don't understand when it came to the mid-season draft that happened earlier tonight. Essendon did not take a tall defender. They took a key forward. They took a ruckman. Two niche kind of picks they needed, don't get me wrong, but they had other picks they could have used, and I don't know why they didn't get a tall defender in. That being said, this could blow out to even bigger than 28 points. I might be being generous by saying that it's going to be this close. Brisbane are going to get a percentage booster on Thursday night. Friday potentially could see game of the round go down between Collingwood and Hawthorn. Collingwood, in my eyes, the best team in the competition currently, with not just their stature on the ladder, but the brand of football they are playing. They are so sound around the ground completely. Hawthorn, incredibly humbled at the MCG last week by Brisbane, so they're going to be coming in with a chip on their shoulder. Finn McGuinness, if he plays this game, has Nick Dacos's number. He has absolutely towed him up with the tag each and every time these two teams have competed against each other. That is kind of wanting to make me tip against Collingwood this week. However, we saw a Collingwood outfit only a few weeks back against Fremantle, I believe it was, on the road. Dacos was getting tagged. He moved forward. He still had some impact, but still found a way to, while still being tagged, get involved and bring other players in around him. They were missing a lot of personnel in that game as well. This is telling me that Collingwood have now put the pieces in place that they can still effectively win games of football if Nick Dacos isn't a key component to that win. So I'm still going Collingwood, and I think they're going to do it by at least 3 goals. It's going to be a close contest, I feel, but 18 points feels about right. The first of Saturday is at People's First Stadium, Gold Coast taking on Fremantle. I'm tipping Gold Coast at People's First. They play really good there. They're a different beast there. Fremantle on the road, they have won 2 in a row. I don't know whether that's going to see this roller coaster, this up and down kind of spectrum that we've seen with Fremantle this season. I don't know whether that kicks in. This is a very winnable game for Fremantle on the road, and if they want to be a premiership contender, if they want to be taken seriously, this is the type of game they need to win. I just think Gold Coast at home, going to be too hard of a task for Fremantle to get over the line. GWS hosting Richmond at NG Stadium. A percentage booster for GWS, let's be quite honest. There's a reason Richmond are paying over $9 to win this game. Thankfully, Richmond have a lot of players coming back in. We've got Nankervis back in. We've got Dion Prestia potentially playing. We've got Tom Lynch. Maikelti Lafau could be available for selection in this game. We've got word on Sam Lawler. He's going to be out for at least the next 3 to 4 weeks. Josh Smiley, he's tracking well. He's probably 4 weeks away, so Laylor and Smiley could come back in at the same time. Taj Houghton is due to come off of that ACL recovery in about 4 weeks, so at the back end of the year, we're going to see a lot of young kids coming in and getting more opportunity. It's up to the kids to stand tall in this game. I don't want to see a demoralizing blowout where the kids just drop their heads and everything just fumbles and falls apart. If we're going to get beaten, I can accept that. I just want to see the Tigers get out there and fight tooth and nail until that final siren. As a Richmond fan, if we get belted, but we can show some strength and some guts in the contest, I'll be a happy man. The last on Saturday sees Sydney hosting Adelaide at the SCG. I'm actually tipping Adelaide here to beat them. This is a team that looks so comprehensive on the weekend against West Coast. And some of you can argue, okay, they only played West Coast, which makes you look good. But the quarter and a half that they played in that final half of football was insane. This is a team on the rise. This is a team that is going to ride that momentum wave. This is a team that come September could be a dark horse team that does damage to other teams that aren't expecting it to happen. Everything is starting to fall into place for Adelaide. They just need to remain consistent and not fall into a complacent state of mind. But I definitely think on the road, they can get a big scalp against Sydney. Traeger Park, TIO. We have Melbourne hosting St Kilda. Melbourne, similar to when we see the Gold Coast go up to Darwin. When it comes to Melbourne playing at TIO, they play this ground incredibly well, and they are going to very, very comfortably defeat St Kilda here. I'm thinking the way of 5 or 6 goals. This could be a big win for them. And the rounds out with West Coast back at home at Optus hosting Geelong. Bit of an upsetting fact, given that Jake Waterman is potentially, I think he is out now for the rest of the year. You've got Oscar Allen, who seems very disinterested and has been since he had that meeting with Sam Mitchell. It's going to be a game where they could struggle to find avenue to score, with Waterman out, with Oscar Allen out of form, and with Geelong having just bullied the Bulldogs at home. They're going to come into this game and they've got a top 4 finish locked in sight. They are going to be licking their chops because this is going to be huge. This is going to be, I think, a 50-plus point win against West Coast on their home deck. This is going to be a bit of a demoralising loss for the Eagles, I feel. Just to recap, we're going with Brisbane, Collingwood, Gold Coast, GWS, Adelaide, Melbourne, and St Kilda. Obviously, this is the beginning of the mid-season bye round, so we do not have the Bulldogs and we do not have North Melbourne playing. Did I miss any other teams that aren't playing this week? We do not have Port Adelaide playing either. And who is the other team that I have not seen listed that will not be playing this week? I think that is it. It is the Bulldogs, it is North Melbourne, and it is Port Adelaide, who are all missing action. Is it Carlton? And Carlton. So there you go. Carlton, Bulldogs, Port Adelaide, and North Melbourne. All out this particular week. We are alive in the minimum 5, as I said, and as we go to the gauntlet, we're starting to get a little bit limited for choice here, because we can't tip Adelaide. We've already locked them in. We've already gone there. Do we lock in Geelong? Is this where we lock in GWS? We've got to go with teams that we're going to be picking to win here. So I think the most comfortable tip is GWS at home. I'm still spewing that I didn't do West Coast over St Kilda at Optus Stadium a couple of weeks ago when I flirted with the idea, because it would have been great to have had West Coast off the board and not have to rely on them maybe beating a North Melbourne or a Richmond later in the year. But that is it for today's video. Do hope you guys enjoyed. If you do enjoy the content I'm making, hit that like button down below. You can get on board the community we are building by hitting that subscribe button as well. And I'm going to put out a question. I'm going to put it on my community tab as well, just to see where it lands with people. But I'm very curious to find out, when it comes to the video game AFL 26, would you like to see me do gaming related content for AFL here on the channel as well? We can do the tipping videos. I can still do my round recap video podcast that I do every week. But when it comes to doing other types of content, is that something you would like to see? And if you've got ideas for content, feel free to sound off in the comment section down below. But that's it from me, guys. I'm out of here. Good luck to your teams this weekend if they are playing. And as always, I will catch you guys next time.